looks like most people want to go the journalist route. That is I mean, the skill sets are the same ideas, but it's, in my mind, it's completely different philosophies. In the profession that I'm in, it's the difference between, it's like the difference between either a lawyer or a judge. You don't have to have the same analytical skills, business skills, but how you apply them is completely different. What I want to do is not get into a whole lot of the what you do, but how I sort of see it affecting the world. First thing I want to do is tell you a little bit about me, because I think it's important to know, and this is true for whenever you're doing anything. If you can figure out where the person that's giving you a message is coming from, it's so much easier to understand them, and more important, communicate back to them on terms they'll understand. I was undergraduate, I majored in physics, and don't ask me why. But it was fascinating for me, and candidly, when I was in the impressionable age of 18, I was at NC State, and I saw them put a empty beer can in a coil, and run a whole bunch of electricity through it. Crush the can, put a sonic boom in the room that hit me in the chest, and I'm like, this is cool. So that's why I became a physics major. Didn't realize how much math was involved later. Went to Davidson undergraduate. Then, after I graduated from Davidson, I figured out that I had absolutely no marketable skills whatsoever. So I needed a job. And this business stuff sounded like it was interesting, so I decided to go to business school. And then, again, I went to a quantitative business school, and it was a whole crap load of math also. So I can graph about anything. Then I became a computer programmer, because the guy that sat beside me in business school owned a computer company, and it was just a hobby of mine. I've been doing it for years. Now, remember now, this is in the late 80s, early 90s. This is the time frame we're talking about. Didn't really have computer science degrees at that point. So we just kind of like, you had people who were learning this stuff on nights and weekends, which is what I was doing. So anyway, worked for him for a while, ended up, in a pretty short period of time, ended up being, doing some pretty front-end stuff. If you walk into the grocery store, you see the guys with the zappers. I actually wrote the communications code that talks to the back office for all the grocery stores in the US, and IBM's now still using it today. They actually call me every once in a while and ask me questions, which is nuts, because I have no idea how it works anymore. I don't even remember what the code is. But anyway, then, because I was a product of a liberal arts education, but with a technical degree, I was the one that actually got to go talk to clients. When I'm 27 years old, that's exactly what I should do. So it was a good day when I had shoes on. But they sent me out, and I realized when I was dealing with IBM's legal department, these people had no idea what they were talking about when it came to the actual job. They did not understand what 80% of IBM does. Lawyers did their lawyer stuff, but from the real world, it didn't really make any sense. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this, and I got fascinated in the law. Ended up going to law school, and I wanted to be a prosecutor. You can already tell I'm a real stable guy. But I wanted to be a prosecutor, did a little stint in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I probably saw more cocaine in 3 months than most of I-95 does in a year. And it was insane, but I got to ride on the go-fast boats, I got to ride on the cigarette boats, I got to fly in helicopters. When we had one case and the U.S. Marshals came and asked us if we would like to be issued firearms, that's when I said, I bet you I'm not the only one going to need a firearm in this case, and I bet you the other people are better shots than I am. So I said, maybe I need a career change. So I got to, found out about intellectual property, which is, candidly, my background is well suited for it, and it's really serving me well now, but at the end of the day, though, it's purely accidental. Purely accidental. So anyway, that's what it is, patents, copyrights, trademarks. Now why do you guys care? Patents, and trademarks, you really don't care that much about. But what you're going to find out is, particularly the people who want to go into communications and PR, you're going to find that intellectual property is pretty well entrenched in business. And unless you're doing communications for a completely non-technical area, which I can't think of one, it's good to have sort of a rudimentary understanding of what this stuff is, both for who you are as well as for what you're going to be doing. Again, remember, the more you know about what your audience is and who's giving you a message, the more you're going to be able to communicate well with them. And I think that is very, very true. It is very, very difficult if you don't understand why. One of my clients, if I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, it's very hard for me to help them, because I don't know where they're going. Well, there's a saying in a sign, I think it's trite, but it's kind of a good saying. It says, if you don't know where you're going, you're guaranteed to get there. And I think that's true. All right, so intellectual capital, and I'm going to breeze through this because this is not really what I want to focus on, but intellectual capital is really the concept of what is it that you're creating. Every time you write something, you're creating something, some piece of property, some
assets on something that's got some use. The timing of it it depends on what it is and how long it is. One of the things I like about intellectual property is that it's one of the very, very few areas of law to where you actually get to put in it what I put into something very well may be and should be worth more than I get paid for. You know, the extreme examples are, it costs about $1,500 to do a trademark. Last valuation of Coca-Cola's trademark was $40 billion. I mean, that's an extreme example, but that's what it is. Google is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It's got something like 800 million of its value is in its brand. Just the name Google. Point being is I could go with the brand. If I owned the brand Google, I could go to a bank and borrow a crap load of money against it because it's got that kind of value. And that's really what intellectual property and why I call it intellectual capital really is. Every time you guys create something, it's created. How deep into the copyright laws have you guys gotten?
We haven't even got to that chapter yet, so.
Okay, so this is going to be we'll get into it a little bit. This presentation, you don't care about a lot of this crap, so I'm going to skip through it. Real quick, what's a patent? Patents, I'm a firm believer in the democratic process. I'm a firm believer that in this country, you're allowed to become whoever you want. That there should not be a lot of restrictions on you, absent you interfere with someone else's rights. If you think about the Constitution, which a lot of the stuff you guys study comes from, it's that old. The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason. It was one of the first things they wanted to add to it. Was that the concept is that we are free to do whatever we want, as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of others. That's an underlying concept the Constitution has, except for the taxing clause. I haven't figured that one out yet. But what's a patent do? It's a contract with the government, actually. The United States government has said, it's in Clause 8, it's Article 8. We want to give you the right to make, use, sell, offer for sale, or import an idea or an invention. Okay, that's your rights. We're going to give you the exclusive right for that if you agree to share with the world what your invention is. So what's the point? Public records. This is publicly disclosed. You can look at it at uspto.gov. You can get to all the published and printed applications. No big deal. In exchange, but we're not going to get, it's going to be a limited right. We're going to give it to you for roughly 20 years. And that's all we're going to do for you. The government said, let's do that. One of the things that's a little used resource is if you go and you search, and you know how to search the patent office and figure out what, an application's published 18 months after they're filed. So 18 months later, you can read what they're doing. You can actually research companies and figure out what they're up to. You know, and I think that's a huge, huge resource. If you go and look at IBM's right now, IBM's got a lot of patent applications coming out in sustainability. They've decided this whole building a smarter planet idea is serious about it. They want to capture the market. They're also the #1 patent business in the United States. So that's what a patent does. I have lots of alcohol references here. They have international, 137 countries, 30-month process. Once you found the U.S., you can protect it nationally. Lots of treaties. You have to maintain them. This is a tax, by the way. That's all this is, to be honest with you. Once you get a patent, you have to pay $923 and $38 every 3, 7, and 11 and a half years. That's how the government makes money on the patent office. Okay? It's a tax. But here's the real point. Once I don't pay this, my patent's abandoned, and I give it to the world. Anybody can practice what I'm doing. So that's the exchange. We're going to make you keep your patents on. Ownership, invest with the inventors. This matters for you guys when if you're in the event where you're creating something, and the rules are, if you invent it, and you were hired to invent it, your company owns it. If you invent it, and it has nothing really to do with what your job is, you own it. Companies can sort of change that for you. There's this guy, his name was W.L. Gore, and he used to work at DuPont. Came up with a chemical. He says, this chemical's kind of cool. It let water go through one way and not go through the other way. He went to DuPont and he said, hey, you guys care about this? He said, no. They had something called a sign-off program. DuPont said, nope, don't care. Have at it, on your own. So we went out and started W.L. Gore. And the product he named Gore-Tex. So made his own company. DuPont, in hindsight's going, okay, maybe you should have kept that one. But they signed off on it. They said, off you go. Lots of stories like that, by the way. All right.